All right, guys, on this section, we're gonna go over just general maintenance. One of the key things, lifeblood of the motorcycle, is your engine oil. To check it, again, please refer to your service manual, as every bike is a little different. Some Harleys, they want you to check it on the Jiffy stand or the kickstand. Some, they want you to check it upright. It really just depends on the particular model. In this situation, this bike is cold. You generally want to check it hot, or at least hot after the bike has settled. So what we recommend, start up the bike, let it get up to a normal operating temperature. If you want to go take it for a quick spin around the neighborhood, bring it back, turn it off, let the oil settle, let the bike cool down just a little bit, and then you want to check the engine oil. Again, every motorcycle is different, but on most Harley Davidsons, your engine oil dipstick is going to be on the right-hand side, along with a transmission filler cap as well. Just unscrew it. And this is an aftermarket dipstick from Fueling that we sell a lot of, but any dipstick is similar. You're going to have a range here on the dipstick of full when hot and a low. So you're gonna have two, a high and a low, or if I flip it, a high and a low. What I recommend on most is right smack in the middle is awesome. Harleys do have, and everybody who rides regularly is aware of this situation, blow by through the air cleaner.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Foot, that's what you're gonna get everywhere.
One of the biggest things, or one of the biggest causes for that, is overfilling your engine oil. Overfilling just complicates all the engine components, and one of the only ways that engine oil gets out is through your breathers, through the air cleaner. So having proper level is critical. Always aim for somewhere in the middle of your range on your dipstick, and high and low. Again, you can also refer to your service manual. It'll kind of generally give you an image on what to reference on your particular model, as dipsticks are different on every model. Some are on a hinge where they will fall into the oil pan based off of if the bike is level or on its kickstand, and then some are fixed dipstick like you see on this one. Another note, Fueling does make these awesome dipsticks. We do a lot of these, especially for guys with big motors or guys that do a lot of high mileage, high RPM, long distance highway riding. These do help critically, especially on the Milwaukee 8 motor with engine oil blow by. It will never get rid of that situation altogether, but it does critically help reduce blow by through the air.
Okay, so the difference between that and just the standard little cap is...
So this one actually has a hole on the bottom of the dipstick here.
Okay. And
then internally, under this finished cap, is a breather system similar to a twin cam's top end, where it has an umbrella valve, and it actually allows for crankcase pressure to ventilate through the top of this oil dipstick. And you can either connect it to a hose like this one and run it to an external filter, or you can let it dump atmospherically. All that does is allow crankcase pressure, basically a secondary place to kind of escape or leave itself, as opposed to just relying on the breather bolts in the heads.
Is that something that Harley sells, or is that an aftermarket?
This is an aftermarket part.
Okay.
Some Harley dealers will have it, or motorcycle shops. It's a company, Fueling. They're out of California. They make a lot of great performance product.
Yeah, interesting.
But we do these a lot on pretty much any big bore build.
Right.
We do here, or if the guy, we know they do a lot of high mileage riding, that sort of thing. The biggest thing is high RPM for long spans. The stock oil pumps oftentimes have a hard time keeping up with the excessive oil velocity or oil volume in the crankcase, and this can help critically with that.
Awesome. Okay.
Put that back in. Another one you've got, I don't have the tool with me, but on most Harleys, to the right or right around the dipstick, you also have your transmission dipstick. It's usually an Allen head to remove. You just pull that out. Again, check it at a warm or operating temperature, and there'll generally be a gauge on the dipstick to tell you where you want your range. Some of them can be very tricky to get to, especially with certain exhausts and exhaust bins. So if you need to check that one cold, it's not as critical to be at full operating temperature, as it's an enclosed case and there's nowhere for that oil or transmission oil to go other than in that case.
Correct. So how often do you recommend you change your transmission fluid?
Transmission fluid, again, referring honestly to the service manual on that, it really does depend on the model, and the recommended span has changed over the years, so it really does depend on the model. Personally with me, especially with a long distance rider or somebody who does a lot of mileage, even though Harley tells you the transmission oil span is a lot longer than the engine oil, I recommend doing all 3 holes every time you do a service. Just do all 3, knock them out. It's only a quart of oil, you know, drop and fill situation. It's not anything complex for the transmission or the primary. Just throw 2 more quarts on the counter at the parts and just knock it out the same time you do your engine oil. Awesome. Does the transmission fluid, does it have a certain look once it's been broken down? Any signs? It'll dirty like engine oil, not quite as bad. It shouldn't look as black as engine oil. It is a different fluid depending on what brand or what you choose. Harley offers your standard Formula Plus primary or transmission fluid. It works both and the same in both. And then you can also run their synthetic fluid. There's obviously other brands out there that we also use, like Amsoil, that sort of thing, that offer cavity-specific fluids. So one specific for the primary, one specific for the transmission. So it's all in your personal preference. The argument of what oil to use could go on forever. For sure. So I won't go down that road.
It's like, who makes the best beer? I give up.
But yeah, I would say honestly, just do all 3 every time you do a service. That way you know it was done. You're not guessing, oh man, did I do it last time or not? It's done. It's cheap. And for somebody who does a lot of miles and a lot of riding, it's a good thing to have just out of your conscience. Yeah, I do a 3-hole punch every time. Because I just know with me, I don't do a whole lot of city driving. I do a lot of cross-country driving or several states. So I just, you know what, better safe than sorry and all that stuff. Yeah, and then the other big 2 critical things I always recommend while you're doing your 3-hole, your air filter, clean it, check it, do whatever you need to do to make it new again. It's really easy on almost any application to just get some K&N oil filter. If it's a K&N, re-clean it, re-oil it. That's when you'll see a lot of blow-by or oil dissipation on the bottom of the filter. Not your opportunity to clean that. And then your clutch adjustment. Clutch adjustment is pretty critical every service. That's obviously going to depend on whether you have a cable clutch or a hydraulic. Hydraulic, there is no adjustment, but with cable clutches, that is an awesome time while you've got your primary derby cover pulled off to adjust your clutch appropriately and get you back to square one, because your clutch plates over time wear, and your clutch adjustment is going to allow to compensate for your clutch plate wear. Also, I noticed, so open breather, rain sock. Bring your rain sock. You know, a rain sock, even when it's not raining, is not necessarily a bad thing, especially if you're one to ride down dirt roads and that sort of thing. It will protect from other elements other than just rain. I always tell my customers, just keep in mind, even with a rain sock, if you're going to ride through a heavy downpour, it still has the possibility, not of necessarily getting through the rain sock, but it will literally, if it's heavy enough, smother your air intake. So it'd be no different than me taking my hands and just going like this. It still has the ability to prevent air from getting into your motor. So it's an awesome thing to have if you're going on a long trip. Honestly, I just keep it on there. That way you don't got to worry about pulling over and putting it on, that sort of thing. I keep one actually on mine all the time. It's just under my cosmetic cover, so you don't even see it, but I keep one on there.
Good stuff, good stuff. So hey, y'all hang in there, man. We're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about the next part of inspecting your bike for a long distance trip. All right. I'm gonna get a picture with you on the other side when we're ready.